everybody, welcome to this special edition of I Hate What's Happened to Higher Education. To be completely fair and honest, I have not wanted to come back to this show. I thought I'm ending it for good. I don't have time. I don't know what particularly I want to talk about, and frankly, just it was feeling odd to me. Like I wasn't making a difference. I wasn't feeling comfortable in saying what I thought was real and true. And I think because of what happened this past week with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I feel compelled to revive this channel, at least on YouTube, maybe not on a podcast, but really wanted to say something about him. He has been impossible to ignore in American conservative politics. And I used to be pretty liberal. I believed in certain things. And now after watching people like Charlie Kirk rise to prominence, if you will, or at least from the standpoint of being a true influencer, I've taken the red pill, so to speak. And it's part of the entire process for me, voting for Donald Trump, getting to know more about MAGA and MAHA, and really finding truth in places other than traditional legacy media, as well as the Democrat Party. Yeah, I've taken the red pill, and I really want to explore his legacy, where he came from, what he did, what his death means, and maybe help us think through what this means, not just for Americans, but for educators, particularly for educators, because I think higher education does have a tendency to breed. Sorry, I don't mean that nasty, but that's, totally the thing. Okay, so Charlie Kirk is from Arlington Heights, Illinois, which is also where my aunt and uncle are from. It's not very far from where I grew up in Park Ridge, Illinois. And he basically didn't get into the college he wanted to go to. Charlie wanted to go to the United States West Point, the Army, to West Point, the Army Academy. He didn't want to go to the Air Force Academy. Never mind. And he went to Harper College up north there in the Illinois and Chicago, the area, for a little bit. But then he dropped out and developed what is now known as Turning Point USA. He was very young, very ambitious, very angry about what he was seeing in what he saw as liberal bias, both in textbooks and on university campuses. So he created this model of developing college chapters, mocking liberal professors and culture war style events. He developed a professor watch list, and he did a program revolving around bake sales that differentiate by race to make a point. He was highly provocative. So when he got into the Turning Point work, his view was that college was a roadblock and was something that was creating massive debt for students. And he thought, I'm already doing this work, so I'm not going to go to college. Okay, so that's who Charlie Kirk was, where he came from. His rise, what he built and why it resonated, he was really starting to appeal to younger conservatives. That's the whole point, especially those who were disillusioned with the establishment GOP, college Republicans. Charlie was insurgent and loud and confrontational, which many people younger otherwise felt necessary. And now that I know about Charlie and I've followed Charlie and I've learned from him, I totally see why that was necessary. So Turning Point chapters began to multiply. There are nearly 100 of them on college campuses around the country, which is really pretty exciting. That's a lot of chapters. Charlie wrote a handful of books. One is called The College Scam. I have not read that yet. One is called The MAGA Doctrine. I just put that into my Audible playlist. And Turning Point also turned into crazy national conferences. There's a women's conference related to Turning Point. There's an overall annual college conference. And there's a division of Turning Point now that is about faith. And if you followed me for a while at all, you know that I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. But Charlie's influence and his incredible strong faith in God is is really impressive to me. And I just find his entire modus operandi very believable and very, very modest, but very true and very real, very humble. I guess that's the word I was looking for. 2020, I think it was. No, in 2016, Charlie Kirk. No, it's not true. I think it was 2020. Charlie Kirk was the youngest speaker for the Republican National Convention. And in 2024, he was the opening speaker. I might be wrong on those dates. It was either, I don't know if it was 2016, 2020, or 2024. But he was at one time the youngest speaker at a Republican National Convention and was at one time an opening speaker for the convention. And so as such, he developed a relationship with Trump and the MAGA movement. And if you listen to Charlie's podcast, some of his previous podcast episodes, they open and Trump's voice, you can hear Trump's voice on the podcast saying, "We're very grateful for Charlie Kirk. He's built something amazing. He has a strong voice." And that's pretty fucking cool, if you ask me. So he amplified things that Donald Trump wanted to talk about, liberal bias in the media, at the colleges, free speech, etc. And in return, obviously, this elevated Charlie's profile and his legitimacy within conservative circles. Now, here's some controversies and critiques, because legacy isn't always clean, right? Charlie's style, understandably, could mock liberal values, but I think that was part of his niche, okay? So I'm going to go to a college campus and I'm going to sit under a tent with a microphone and I'm going to ask you to prove me wrong and have a college student come up, ask their question or present their argument, and then listen to what Charlie had to say. And I'm not going to lie. I have very often found it funny to watch videos of him on YouTube really taking down somebody of a very progressive mindset, but more so because they did not form their argument well. And a lot of reasons that Charlie Kirk had on occasion made students look not smart. Honestly, it's because they weren't. And a lot of students, particularly Gen Z, I feel like they make an argument based on small facts that they see in social media or that they hear about in legacy media. They don't do the research themselves. And even though Charlie didn't go to college, Charlie's read thousands of books. And it's impressive to listen to him talk about things that, I know nothing about economics. And he knows all this interesting stuff about economics. And of course, I noticed that watching him in one of his videos at a college campus. The professor watch list. I could see where that might appear to be slightly divisive, but at the same token, if you are coming to a college campus and you're a student and you already know that you are a conservative thinker, which again, I will concede that that's very rare these days, although I think people like Charlie are helping younger people understand politics and form their political opinions as they go, being comfortable, like being away from their families' view on politics, and as well as the way that they grew up, their friends, their family values, things like that. Where was I? So in terms of the professor watch list, I can appreciate how a conservative-minded student might want to know that if he's going to take classes in particular departments on his campus. Oh, I'm very thirsty. I need to refill my water bottle. And what does free speech really look like if one side is laughing at the other? Okay, I get that. But in defense of Charlie, I want to say that I know that was not done to hurt other people. I know that was done to bring awareness. And I think sometimes we have to experience a down moment. Sometimes it's the adversity in our life that helps us grow. And it would be what I would love to see. I don't know if this is possible. I would love for people who appeared in a Charlie Kirk video as part of the Prove Me Wrong events on campus. I would love for those folks to come forward now and see if their minds had been changed at all. I'm willing to accept that a lot of people didn't, but I think a lot of people might have. I could see that, being an issue. Now, I'd also read recently that there was an incident at Arizona State where some Turning Point USA employees admitted that they were harassing a queer instructor. That makes me very sad to know that that happened. But again, part of the learning process and understanding, and for a young person taking a job on an organization like this, you need to learn where is the right place and where is the wrong place to say certain things. And it's wrong to harass anybody ever. But in ensuring that that kind of harassment doesn't happen again, sometimes you do need for some people, again, making mistakes and owning up to that being a mistake is how we learn. If no one made any mistakes, we would never learn anything. So that's important, I think, because legacy is not clean. I get it. Okay. I was sick all last week, reference to the fact that I'm still coughing and I'm still kind of phlegmy. Sorry, that's gross. But I was homesick and I don't remember what I was doing, but I might have been checking my email or just resting, laying in the bed. But I got a notification on my phone from Ground News, which is one of my favorite apps. I will put a link to them in the show notes. You can see here. Let me just pop this up here. They will, you probably can't see that very well. They will pull articles from all different news sources. They will let you know if it's left-leaning, center-leaning, or right-leaning. And you can read all of the different news things that are happening out there according to the slant. So you can be really informed and know all sides of the story. So I got a notification on my phone that Charlie Kirk had been shot. So my first instinct was to go to YouTube and see if anybody was jumping on that yet. And of course, of all people, Megyn Kelly's show was the show that I landed on because she was live with a couple of other conservative influencers, Mark Halperin, and I can't remember the other person. At the time, all we knew was that Charlie had been shot in the neck, and we'd heard that he was stable, but we didn't know much more than that. And within the framework of the time that Megyn was talking to these two gentlemen, they learned that Charlie died. And at that point in the day, I remember just being horribly devastated. And I mean, I have not lost a family member in a long time. I know how I feel when I lose somebody that's close to me. I did not know Charlie Kirk personally at all. I've never met him. I've only seen him on his videos or on other people's podcasts or, the Republican convention that I watched on TV. But I felt in that moment like I lost a close friend and a confidant and a mentor. And I haven't cried like that in a really, really long time. I texted my husband and I told him what happened. And he was outside working. He came in right away, and I was amazed at. I mean, he felt the way that I did, and we were both pretty beside ourselves that somebody that young. I mean, Charlie could have been our kid. My husband and I have been married 31 years. Charlie's 31. I mean, he could have been our child. I'm at that place in my life where I recognize that I could be a lot of people's moms. And he was just starting a family. He had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. His wife is amazing. And to see all of the pictures of him with his kids and his family, it just, warms your heart. It was so hard. And it's not even been a full week yet. And this event has become hugely symbolic. Everybody is talking about it. If you did not know who Charlie Kirk was 5 days ago, you definitely know now. And if you have not taken the time to take that in and learn and read more, I really want to encourage you to do that, because this is not like any other regular assassination of a public figure. Charlie Kirk was not an elected official. He was an entrepreneur, and he was doing the work in the political arena that he felt was important. And it basically boiled down to, these were his thoughts and his beliefs and his reflections of what is important for our country. And somebody killed him for that. And if you're spending any time on Insta or TikTok or X right now, you are seeing the full stretch. And if you follow one conservative influencer, you're seeing all of it. The idea that they tried to silence someone and look what happened is going to carry a lot of weight for a really long time. Now, some people out there are pushing this concept that the shooting fits the narrative that Turning Point was pushing, that conservatives are being silenced People are being marginalized on campus, not safe to speak. But then there have also been a number of people out there celebrating the death of this young person. And it's sad. It is a tragedy, but it is also a validating signal. And I myself have been really sheepish about sharing my political transformation within the framework of my campus. I have been at my institution for over 13 years. I was not a conservative thinker for most of that time, but I began to turn the corner when cancel culture was truly starting, and in the middle of the pandemic and the aftermath of the pandemic. And I said this to a number of people, but what was happening on my campus after George Floyd died, I'm not going to say that George Floyd was killed. He died because there were things not right. Maybe that'll be another video someday. But I lost my train of thought. So I was already starting to turn the corner. And as I learned about more conservative influencers and media people and journalists, and Charlie, shows up, and then just listening to the way he formed his arguments and shared his knowledge with other people is just, it's mind-blowing. And so the point behind that is I now feel very empowered, motivated, compelled to not be afraid to talk about conservative values on college campuses, and that we need to do that more than ever. Hence, I hate what's happened to higher education. I feel like this is a turning point for educators across the country, and there does need to be some major significant change from where I'm sitting. I don't know how I'm going to participate. I'm going to figure that out, but I'm going to participate. And if you follow me at all, I hope you will participate with me, because I think it is really, really important. What does Charlie leave behind? He shifted the Overton window, which is still something I don't really understand completely, but he was willing to talk about ideas that might have been fringe and are much more mainstream now, particularly outside of legacy media. From the political infrastructure standpoint, Charlie's organization, Turning Point Action, Turning Point USA, and Turning Point Faith, I think is what it's called, will those continue without Charlie Kirk? And I have to think that it will, because all of the people in the states that are saying, like, Charlie's death meant something to me, and people in that organization, I know they will not let Charlie's vision die. And if anything, it's going to burn brighter than it ever has before. And if anybody from Turning Point Action is watching or listening to this, you can find my email in the show notes, because I would be happy to be involved in any way that I can. Okay, so for myself, my perspective as a former liberal to an all-in Republican, I thought about higher education being a place for open dialogue and inclusion and civics. But seeing what Charlie exposed, and not just Charlie, but other people, but in terms of Charlie's specific influence on me as an educator, it made me question, is there a liberal orthodoxy that silences dissent? And are campuses truly safe for conservative speech? Or is there a bias? And I believe the correct response to bias is not to mock, but engage. And that is really what Charlie did at his college events. Prove me wrong. Come up, ask me a question about what I believe, and then debate with me about your thoughts, opinions, beliefs. We'll discuss facts. You can share your facts with me, and if I can debunk them, I'm going to, because for a non-college attendee, he's pretty fucking smart. Charlie's style was to force conversations that others were avoiding. Although I give every single student that came to the microphone at a Prove Me Wrong event credit for being brave enough to stand up there, even if in their mind they were like, oh, I'm taking Charlie down. I'm going to show him. Nobody has ever shown him. And even if I don't always agree how Charlie did things, although I agree with most of what he did, to be quite honest, I don't think Charlie Kirk was divisive at all. But I can see how some people might see that. But he changed the game. He changed everything. And he was a critical part of who I am as a conservative, educated adult working in education. Charlie's death is really tragic. And I will not be over it very soon, if ever. But his death does cement his place in the narrative, and people will look back on these moments, his life and his death, like they looked at Kent State or other moments when free speech and protest and tragedy intersected. I hope that motivates other young conservatives to be bolder, and I hope it helps other higher education employees that have been operating under the radar in fear of losing their livelihood. I hope that will press us to stand up and speak out. So here's some questions to ponder, and I would love for you to think about this and maybe comment in the comments below. Will Turning Point and its offshoots continue the confrontational style, or will they find some moderation? What happens now that the symbol of the struggle is no longer with us? How will universities respond? That's the big question. Will there be more protections for campus speakers, more policing of hate speech or negative speech, hate speech, more fear of lawsuits, things like that? Does Charlie Kirk's legacy push us towards more polarization or towards a more robust marketplace of ideas? I like to think that it will be the latter. For people like me or people like you who used to lean liberal, now more conservative, how do we balance passion with accountability? And how do we avoid letting martyr narratives be misused? Charlie was a really complex figure. He was provocative, he was loved, he was reviled. His legacy is going to be a little messy, but it's powerful. And he pushed consumer activism to a place that this country's never seen before. But I hope we will see it again, because we will continue to see it, and it's just going to grow. If you've shifted from liberal to conservative as I have, or somewhere in between, or maybe you're still figuring it out, I want you to ask yourself, what kind of legacy do I want to leave? What style of activism do I believe in? And how do I want my belief to show up in the world? I'm going to still wrestle with that for a little while. I'm not going to lie. I've sat on my own thoughts, feelings, and values for a long time. So figuring out how to do that outside of a video on YouTube, I've got to figure that out. And I'm probably going to struggle with it for a little bit. And I'm okay with that, because I want my ongoing response to be evolving. I want it to be dynamic. And I want it to reflect everything that I'm learning every minute of every day. And okay, that's all. If you liked this video, I would love for you to share it with a friend. I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. You don't just see, I hate what's happened to higher ed on this channel. You see a variety of things. I guess I'm, what do they call it? Multi-passionate. You can find the Top 5 podcast here. You can also find some of my former Elevate Your 8 and God Side Hustle podcast videos here as well. But I think I hate what's happened to higher ed is going to be revived, at least on video. Because I got some shit to figure out, and I got some stuff I want to say. Anyway, so I'm Kris McPeak. Thank you for tuning in today. Please do all the things. Hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, share it with someone who needs to hear that.